Potkin Azarmehr is an Iranian blogger, journalist and analyst. He's based here in London and joins me now in the studio. This has been hailed a great success by many, although nothing has been signed as yet. What do you think the feeling in Tehran is in today?
That's correct. This is not an agreement. There's nothing binding by law. There are two schools of thoughts, really. There were some people in Iran who think that by coming to an agreement and lifting the sanctions, the economic situation of the people will improve, and so therefore they're very sort of like welcoming about the agreement. But there's other people who think the government, the regime, was on its last legs. It had massive economic problems. It was very much similar to the Soviet Union before the collapse, and by obtaining a deal and by lifting the sanctions, the regime will be given a lifeline. So there's mixed reactions, really.
And how is the media portraying this today? I mean, is there a lot going on Twitter or social media about it?
Well, interestingly, some people have noted that there were differences between the Persian translation of the text and the English text that was read yesterday. I saw at least two sites. There was an article in Fast News, which was like the hardline news, and another site which listed 9 major differences about the translations in the text. So it looks like both sides are spinning it for their own home audience. So.
And in terms of response to this, Rouhani has welcomed these developments, but Ayatollah Khamenei, who has been very ill, his response could be...
So I have to qualify you. His illness was a rumour that was spread by Rafsanjani channels before the Assembly of Experts. I'm not sure if he is ill.
Fair enough.
Okay.
His response to this, though, will be crucial, won't it?
Of course, he's the one that decides.
What are we expecting from him, do you think?
Well, the information that I have is that John Kerry went, he leant over backwards, tried to convince Zarif that, you know, we have to come up with something, even though we don't sign anything, we have to come up with some joint statement just to stop the Congress from imposing further sanctions. Otherwise, the whole deal would have been derailed. So it was a marathon struggle to get the two sides to come up with this joint statement, just so that they can continue until June. Otherwise, this is against the red lines that the Supreme Leader has set, in the sense that the Supreme Leader specifically said that he doesn't want a two-phase agreement. The Supreme Leader specifically said that he wants the sanctions removed immediately. And so far, this joint statement doesn't do that. So it'd be interesting to see what Ayatollah Khamenei's reaction will be, or whether he will see Kerry sort of like convince Zarif that we have to come up with something. Otherwise, further sanctions by the Congress imposed will totally derail the talks. So.
Because there are lots of ifs and buts in this. June the 30th is what we're heading towards to sign this agreement. Do you think Iranians will abide by this accord if it is signed?
Well, that's the...
What does history tell us about it?
The track record, I have to admit, is not good. But then again, I'm hoping that people that work out the details will be savvy enough to make sure that there is enough verifications and systems to checks and balances to make sure that whatever becomes binding, whatever is signed, and if a final agreement is reached, then the implementation of the agreement will be done accordingly.
And you mentioned sanctions before. If this is signed on June 30th, the agreement is that sanctions will be slowly lifted. What sort of difference will that physically make to people in Iran, do you think?
Again, that's debatable. Let me give you an example. There was a time when the oil price during Khatami's time was $7 a barrel. It then went up to $120 a barrel. So you think that the economic situation of the people would improve, but it didn't make any difference. So, I mean, there was some, from the previous Geneva Agreement, there was some money that was blocked and it was given to Iran. Most of that has now been given to Syria as a grant. So how much of that would trickle down to the people of Iran and improve their living conditions, again, is debatable. A lot of people are hoping that it will, but I don't think it can be guaranteed that just because sanctions are lifted. The root cause of Iran's economic problems are not sanctions. Sanctions may have accelerated it, sanctions may have been an agent in worsening the situations, but they're not the root cause of the economic problems of Iran. So I can't say for certain that if the sanctions are lifted, tomorrow people's living conditions will be improved. But a lot of people think so.
Potkin Azarmehr, thank you very much indeed for coming in to Arise Reports. Thank you.
Thanks very much.